Okay, has anybody seen the first Karate Kid? Excuse me. Because this is a great analogy for. And is the music too loud? Is the music too loud, or is it just right? And you've seen the first Karate Kid, right? So, I love this. I was talking to my mom about this yesterday. So I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna write this out before I give you guys the analogy, right? So remember that your ego is your inner child. Remember that. Correlate these two because it helps you to conceptualize what's going on in your everyday life and how the ego affects your physical reality, how it moves in that, right? So if you think of it as your inner child, here's how I want you to think of it. So in the movie Karate Kid, right? What did Mr. Miyagi do with the Karate Kid? I forgot his name. If somebody could tell me his name, I would love to. Instead of me looking it up, please tell me. But Mr. Miyagi, right? When he wanted to learn karate, when the kid wanted to learn karate, and he came to Mr. Miyagi said, "I got you, right? But here's how we're gonna start: wax on, wax off, and you got to do this with the fence, right?" And what was the kid's response? He was like, "Oh no, I'm trying to learn karate, bro. Like I ain't trying to clean a car and paint a fence. I'm trying to learn how to fight and do karate, right?" He said, "Hey," Mr. Miyagi said, "Hey, trust me, wax on, wax off, and do the fence, right?" And he's like, "Bro, come on, man. Like I'm trying to, you feel me?" He's, "All right, bro, I'll listen. He did it, right? He did it, right? And Mr. Miyagi every day he said, just, hey, wax on, wax off, and do the fence. After he was done with both of those, all right, now is it time to fight? Hey, come inside. Let's do the little clipping of the tree, right? That little tree they started clipping at. He like, yo, like, bro, I'm trying to fight. I'm trying to play. I mean, I'm trying to learn karate, bro. You're teaching me how to paint a fence and wax a car and clip this little tree. Like, come on, bro, right?" And the kid had to trust in Mr. Miyagi and what he was doing, right? And so slowly he started to just trust the process and do what he had to do. Fast forward, when the kid was in a physical altercation, what came out? All the things he learned from the wax on, wax off and the fence painting, right? And it was right in that moment that he realized that everything he had been doing that he didn't understand in the moment was actually serving a greater purpose and was playing a role in a bigger picture he couldn't see, right? I'm going to stop right there so we can all catch up and kind of get on the same page. So remember, Daniel, right? Daniel's son. Yes, you're right. Daniel was like, I want to learn karate. And the first thing that Mr. Miyagi had him do was the wax on, wax off and learn how to paint the fence. And in Daniel's mind, he's like, this is not teaching me karate. I'm trying to learn how to fight, right? But slowly he had to trust. He just had to trust, right? He had like in his mind, it made absolutely no sense why he was doing this, right? But Mr. Miyagi was like, listen, trust, right? But if you go to the dojos and you look around at what everybody else is doing, he's seeing people fighting, he's seeing people practicing all that stuff, and he's like, I'm trying to do that. Mr. Miyagi said, hold on, paint the fence and wax on, wax off, right? And then when he got into a physical altercation, like I said, what came out? All the technique and stuff that he had been learning through the thing that he didn't understand came out in the moment that he needed it, right? And it was in that moment that Daniel realized that the wax on, the wax off, the fence, and the clipping of the tree all was playing a greater purpose. Now, why do I say that? I say that because you have to think of your spirit as Mr. Miyagi and your ego as Daniel. As you're starting to lean into your spirit and allow that to guide your life, the ego is going to not understand what you're doing because it's not going to be able to see anything physically that aligns with what you're doing spiritually, right? Because a lot of times the shift has to happen internally before it happens externally. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Right? And what it takes is, right, what did Mr. Miyagi do with Daniel when he was not understanding, or when he was like, man, like he was a little combative, like, come on, bro, I'm trying to learn. He wasn't mean to him. He didn't yell at him. He didn't lash out. He said, hey, trust, just trust in the process. And he was very patient with Daniel. And over time, Daniel came to the understanding through the physical manifestation of him learning how to do all that stuff, that this whole time Mr. Miyagi had been teaching him skills that he just didn't understand in the moment. So when you are starting to change your internal state, you're starting to move into the spirit, right? And allow that to guide, which I like to call your inner parent. It's the thing that you need to allow to parent your ego, your inner child. You have to understand that your inner child is not going to understand what's going on. It's going to ask you questions. It might lash out. It might be like, yo, what's the heck's going on? It might be like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. If you're quick to judge, or you feel like you try to force it, or you try to like be negative towards your inner child, all it's going to do is close itself off, and you're not going to have no relationship. So you have to view your change, your growth, your development from the awareness and the perspective of a parent. And when negative beliefs or unwanted emotions or unwanted reactions come up, don't beat yourself up in those moments. Immediately take the role of the parent and guide yourself through that. Guide your inner child through that experience, right? Because everything that isn't aligned with your desired reality and your most authentic self is just your inner child and your ego operating. That's all it is, right? It's all it is. And instead of looking at that as an obstacle and like, oh man, I'm not growing, view it as an opportunity. View it as an opportunity to parent your ego and your inner child and mend that relationship. I hope that makes sense, right? If it's not making sense, please ask questions. Chaz, I love you, my brother. I love you, my brother, and I appreciate you saying that, bro. You know, we was in the trenches together at military school. That year was tough, bro. If that makes sense, please let me know. If it doesn't and you need clarification, we could talk about something else, right? And I'm about to take this, but I do got to take this hoodie off, because if I don't, or I got to take this sweater off. If I don't, I'm going to be sweating like a pastor. You needed this reminder? Hey, and the beautiful thing about this, y'all, this is probably the most peaceful thing when you understand this. Everything that we've been talking about, all this transformation, changing your perspective and all this stuff, right? All of it is an internal thing. So that means you don't have to get so caught up in feeling like the answer is in the external world, right? You don't have to feel like you have to get up and constantly chase after all these things to find healing, to find the growth, to shift your perspective. And that is such a peaceful thing to know, because some people spend their whole life chasing after things externally, trying to fill the void internally, right? And even when you get these things, right? Because the internal shift can only be changed from the internal, right? Even when you get these things that you think will heal you and they don't, your ego's immediate reaction to that is, oh, I just need to get more of it. Oh, I just got to get more women. Oh, I just have to get a different man. Oh, I just have to get more money. Oh, I just have to get a better job. Oh, I just have to get more clothes. I just got to get more cars. Oh, I just have to go to a different therapist. Oh, I just got to go, right? And you just get into this rat race of constantly chasing after all these things externally to fill this void that can only be transformed from within yourself, right? From within yourself. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, ask questions. That's what this space is for. Ask questions. Be curious. Be childlike in thinking, but don't be childish. Be childlike in thinking, but don't be childish. Navigating breakups and relationships. Absolutely. And Miriam, I do have a podcast on relationships. Let me see what it was called. I think I did one on, what was it called? Navigating healthy relationships. Cultivating and navigating healthy relationships. And then I did one with Tracy Dando, and that was about relationships. So watch those two. But I will definitely do another one about heartbreak and navigating that. How do you know if you're being complacent and not confusing it with gratitude? Gratitude is expansive and it motivates you to keep moving forward. It doesn't make you just sit, right? There's a big difference, right? Let me tell you. All right, here we go. I'm drawing this out. So this is why awareness is so important, because a lot of times we confuse things with things because we allow the wrong thing to be steering the vehicle, right? If your ego is steering the vehicle, you'll confuse complacency with gratitude. If your spirit is steering the vehicle, you'll understand what the real emotion of gratitude is, and it's going to inspire you to keep moving forward. True gratitude never makes you feel like I should not be doing anything. That's not what gratitude is about. It's about not emotionally attaching yourself to the external world, understanding that all that you need is already within you. And I'm grateful to be where I am. It doesn't mean don't set goals. It doesn't mean don't have a vision. It doesn't mean don't pursue the best version of yourself. It just means do not put your value in who you are, your identity in the external world. Because when you lack gratitude, that means you are waiting for something externally to happen before you feel gratitude. But a feeling can only be cultivated from within yourself. So you're constantly going to be searching for all these things to fill that void. You feel me? But like I said, If that doesn't, if it, ask questions, please ask questions. Like I said, y'all, like I said, I don't know what like I said because I'm losing my train of thought, but it's okay, it happens. Y'all just saw that in real time. That's why I love these lives, because it's real authentic. But like I said, I'm working on my first ebook right now. That's going to be all about emotional state and the steps to changing that. I'm going to do one on ego, and then I'm going to do one on either perspective and mindset, one of those, right? So I'm really excited to release that for y'all. The emotional state one will probably be out by the end of this month, so I'll let you guys know when that's out. Y'all can go get that in the link. And we're gonna keep cultivating the podcast. But yeah, shoot, I don't know where I was going. Yeah, that's it. Y'all can ask some questions we get more into. But I hope that makes sense though about the gratitude. I really hope that makes sense about the gratitude. And this is the thing: a lot of people struggle so much because you might say the right things, right? A lot of people say the right things, but because they haven't had the internal shift, saying the right things doesn't really do anything, right? You can say, I'm grateful, I'm grateful, I'm grateful. But if that's not really the internal state you're in, you're not grateful. You're not grateful. Gratitude is an emotion. It's not a word. Gratitude is an emotion. It's not a word. Do not fall into the trap of always trying to say the right words without making the necessary changes within yourself in order to embody what you're actually trying to say. Faith is not a word. It's an embodiment. It's a posture. It's an emotion, right? Love is not a word. It's an embodiment. It's a posture. It's an emotion. So if you're not embodying these things, it does not matter what is coming out of your mouth. How do you start believing those words when things go wrong? I love that question. Let me cultivate that. Let me let that question marinate and really give you an intentional answer, because that's such an amazing question. Okay, this goes back to what we were talking about yesterday about becoming aware of your emotional state, right? That's the first thing. If you don't have the awareness of the emotional state you're in, you're always going to resort back to your default emotional state, right? So a lot of people try changing their beliefs without shifting their emotional state, right? Because remember, all limiting beliefs, all negative emotions, all that is just the representation of the emotional state you are in. So you have to first become aware of your emotional state. Once you become aware of your emotional state, you have to take the necessary actions to accept it, right? So you become aware, right? Okay, I realize that I have a lot of limiting beliefs. I lack self-confidence. I struggle with really trusting in the process. I'm always quick to see the worst in things. I'm always quick to see the negative outcome in things. I have a lot of anxiety. I worry a lot about the future. Like, these things you start to become aware of, right? That is the first thing. And then you have to accept that is actually your reality. A lot of people don't even accept that that's the truth. They may feel it and become aware of it, but because their ego gets in the way, that ain't me, man. I really do that. You don't want to accept it, right? If you don't become aware and if you don't accept, you'll never be able to feel and heal, right? So after you become aware of your emotional state and you really accept that and you start to go down that process of feeling the things that you've been running from for so long, now I'm going to skip to step 4 about reframing and replacing. Every time that you have an external experience that brings a certain emotion, right? And it's emotion that's not aligned with your desired reality, you need to view that as an opportunity to reframe the situation, reframe the emotion, and then replace it with the one that you do want, right? And here's the thing about change, y'all. This is why it's so important to understand that it is a process. You cannot expect that just because you've learned this and you've tried to change for 1 week that everything's going to be fine. It is a process to let go of the conditioning and the programming of your past experiences. You got to think of how hardwired those limiting beliefs are in your subconscious mind. In order to reprogram and reframe and reshape that, it is a process. But this is why compassion and empathy for yourself is so important. Because what most people do, Miriam, is when they have an external experience that happens and then they feel those, limiting emotions and those limiting beliefs and they have those negative thoughts, they immediately feel like they're doing something wrong, that it's not working, and then it immediately goes to their self-worth. This is just too hard for me. I can't do it. Or, man, I'll just never be able to grow. Man, I'll just never be able to be better. If you don't give yourself compassion and empathy through that process, you'll never grow through those moments, right? You'll never grow through those moments. And here's one of the best mind frames that you need to take into life. Every single thing you go through, every single thing you go through and experience has an opportunity in it. Do not confuse feelings and emotions with lack of opportunity. Oh, because it doesn't feel good and I don't like the emotions, there's no opportunity. This is an obstacle. No, everything is an opportunity. Everything is an opportunity, and you need to truly just tattoo that on your mind. And you keep telling yourself that every single day. Everything is an opportunity. But here's the thing, like I said, you cannot just keep saying things. If you don't actively go down that journey of trying to change your internal environment and change the things in your life, you will keep getting the same results. And this is one of the toughest things that people have to grasp, because our ego, like I said, in our inner child is addicted to comfort. It wants to stay what's in the known and what's comfortable. Even if the situation you're in right now is externally painful and you don't really like your job or you don't really like the relationships, at least you know what to expect. And a lot of times, us wanting to know what to expect and control our outcomes keeps us stuck in situations because we're unwilling to let go of the known and step into the unknown. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Right? I think this is where social media and overstimulation in our society has really hindered a lot of us, because we want quick fixes. We want quick fixes. Right? We want to learn something and then the next day be completely healed. That is not how it works. Right? Healing is not fast food. Healing means you got to go to the store. You got to really intentionally figure out what ingredients you need, and then you got to take it back home, unpack them, put the things away that you're not using, and then take out the things that you are using, and then actively start to cook. Maybe something got to go in the oven. Maybe something has to be cooked on the stove top, right? You got to go through that process. But how many people in here are choosing fast food over a really good cooked home meal? Truthfully, right? I don't know how many of y'all moms or dads can cook, but my mom is an amazing cook. 10 out of 10 times I'm choosing my mom's cooking, right? Even though it may take a little longer than going and getting Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or something from fast food. I'm sorry, I am. 10 out of 10 times. And it's the same with your healing, right? If you try to rush healing, if you try to rush growth, guess what type of results you're gonna get? Rushed results. So you have to go into these things understanding that it's going to take time, right? And there are going to be days where I feel like I can't make it through. But I need you to understand, during this whole process, you are not alone. You are absolutely not alone. You are absolutely not alone. You are being guided by such a greater power that you cannot see, but you have to trust in. You can feel it, and you got to trust in it, right? You got to trust in it. And this is what I like to call going back into the cookie jar. Shout out to David Goggins. He taught me this. Going back into the cookie jar. You got to really reflect on the moments where you thought you wouldn't make it through and you did. Right? Really think about your journey and your experiences in the places that you've been and the things that you went through. Think about how many times you thought you would not make it through a season or an experience and you did. Reflect on that. Right? Bring that lesson into the moment, into the current moment. So when you're going through another situation, when you're going through a really tough experience, a really tough season, you're trying to change your emotional state and it's incredibly difficult and you really feel like you can't do it, reflect into the past and find the good things. Hey, you're 100% on the bad days. You're 100% on the days you thought you wouldn't make it through. You're 100% on the seasons you thought you could not make it through. 100%, not 90%, not 99%. You're 100% because you're still sitting today. You're in this live right now. You're breathing. You're breathing, right? But you have to actively go down this process. And that's why I'm really working hard on this ebook, because I really want to get this out to y'all so y'all have a physical thing or a digital thing to really look at and get step by step and really be able to go back to it and be like, okay, I'm right here. I'm at this step. I need to reflect on this. Oh, I'm at step 2. I need to reflect on this. Oh, I'm at step 3. I need to reflect on this. Maybe I need to go back to step 1 and see where, you know what I mean? I'm constantly going back. I'm constantly going back to books or journal entries of past seasons and past experiences just to collect the things that help me get through those moments, right? You know? Right? It's not easy, but it's so worth it. And here's the beautiful thing, man. Here's the beautiful thing. Just as a butterfly has to go through metamorphosis, right? It has to go into its cocoon. That's what it's going to be like when you really, really start to shift your life. You're going to go through that season of isolation and incredible difficulty and challenge. But once a butterfly comes out, it never has to go back, y'all. It never has to go back. Ever. Once you're a butterfly, you never have to go back to being a caterpillar. But the only way for a caterpillar to become a butterfly is it has to go through that process. And the reason most people do not become butterflies is because they constantly just avoid the process. They constantly avoid the process because they want to go right from being a caterpillar, jumping right to a butterfly. If you don't go through that metamorphosis, you will not be a butterfly. And that metamorphosis is the tough season. It's the shift. It's the difficulty. It's the discomfort. It's the unknown, right? It's the confusion. It's the trusting in something that you cannot see with your physical eyes, right? It's not easy, but you can do it, though. I promise you can do it. I promise you can do it. Like, I will put everything I have that you can do it. Everything I have. If you are in this live right now, it's for a reason. That stuff, I need you guys to understand there is no coincidences, right? Things don't just happen. Oh, we're just floating and this things. If you're in this live right now, it's for a reason. And I need you to understand something, right? People are like, all right, I'm going to start tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to start tomorrow. If you are in this live, if you are aware of this type of stuff, let me tell you something. Let me tell you some great news. You have already started. You have already started. Do not confuse your physical reality with starting. A lot of people think, oh, I have to do something physically to start the process. No. Everything starts here. Once you set the intention, you started. Once you started to really marinate on these different ideas and topics and let your mind run wild in a different direction, you started. Once you start to really sit with yourself, right, and be in your head a little bit, you started. Once you start to search out new podcasts and new influencers and new teachers, you started. You may not be doing anything physically, but you started the process. A lot of people are like, all right, I have to do something. I got to do this. Relax. Do I have a podcast? I do have a podcast. I do have a podcast. And let me tell you something. Procrastination is a direct result of your current emotional state. I will always resort back to your emotional state, right? Right? Because, excuse me. Let me reframe that. Procrastination comes from the ego and your inner child wanting to stay comfortable. That's all it is. Your ego does not want to step into discomfort. And a lot of times the reason we procrastinate is because we have to do something that may be uncomfortable, right? How do you relax and not feel bad for enjoying yourself? This is why awareness in shifting your perspective on you is so important, because a lot of people don't have the awareness to understand or the perspective that they are not their thoughts, they are not their emotions, you are the person behind it, right? So you need to literally separate yourself from your physical body, and you need to start viewing your physical body as you would a child, right? That's how you need to view it. When a child is really showing up to class and they're doing all the work and they're doing whatever they're supposed to do, right? You want to give them a break. You want to give them a day to themselves. You want to, hey, we got a movie day, or hey, we're going to have a pizza party. You guys have been so good, right? That's what you have to do with yourself, right? And you know that better than anybody. If you've been showing up every day and really trying your best, rest is a vital part of that journey. It's a vital part of your growth. If you don't ever give yourself rest, you'll never grow, because rest is growth. Prime example. Imagine trying to go to the gym 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Imagine never giving your muscles. No, if I let my muscles rest, I'm failing. Your muscles is like, hold on, bruh. If you don't let me rest, you gonna rip or tear me, and then I ain't gonna be able to do nothing. That's literally what your muscles would say to yo. You gotta relax, bro. Stop trying to lift all day, every day. Relax, fam. Yeah, this will be on YouTube, Mo. The one from yesterday is getting uploaded today. This one I'll upload tomorrow. I procrastinate because I'm scared to fail. Absolutely, it is. All right, let's get into it. I love that you brought that up. Okay. The fear of failure is rooted in your ego. It's an illusion. It is an illusion, right? Like I said, your ego only can operate in this physical reality, so it's constantly thinking about what other people will think. Oh man, I'm scared if I fail, what will they think? Or I don't want them to judge me, or I don't want to feel bad, or the fear of. Let me tell you something. The only true failure in life is deciding not to try. That's it. That's literally it. This is the beautiful thing, right? This is how the ego thinks. This is how the ego thinks. The ego thinks, okay, I have to start, and then I have to do, excuse me. This is how the ego thinks, right? And then I have to do everything right. And then this is when I succeed, right? This is how your inner child thinks, right? Until you teach a child that it's okay to mess up, that it's okay to fail, that it's okay to fall off the bike, the kid is gonna beat themselves up, right? That's what a kid does, right? That's why I said if you look at the characteristics of your ego, you'll understand how it is your inner child. Like, think about how much kids beat themselves up in sports and stuff until you teach them that, hey, it's okay to mess up. It's okay to miss shots. It's okay that you didn't get the highest grade in the class. It's okay. And they're like, is it really? Yes, it's okay. And you through that process, they trust you. All right, but listen. Okay, this is what your ego says. Your ego says, all right, we have to start, and then through the process, we have to do everything perfect, and then we have this destination where we'll succeed. We have this end goal where we'll succeed. That's what your ego says, right? So if during this process, at any point, you make a mistake or you fail or maybe you fall down, the thing that ego and perfection says is, oh my gosh, you're a failure. You're no good. We have to restart. And so you have to go back here and you guys try again. You have to be perfect. And then you mess up and it's like, oh no, you're no good, man. You'll never be able to do this. And oh man, we just keep failing. We'll never get over this something. And then you got to restart. And eventually you just keep trying to be perfect. I mean, you just give up. You're like, all right, there's no way up, because nobody's going to be perfect, right? But let me tell you what the Spirit says. Let me tell you what your inner parent says. And this is so much more peaceful. And this is the true success, right? So, like I said, your ego searches for external validation, external outcomes, external destinations, right? Before it says, I'm successful or whatever it is. And if you mess up, the ego says, oh, you are a failure. Here's what the Spirit says. Okay, right? So, your spirit understands the moment you decide to try and start, you have already succeeded. That is where the win comes from. This is the win, y'all, right here. You starting and actually trying is where you win. I don't care about the end goal. The fact that you were even willing to get up and try something new, step into the unknown, embrace the fear, put yourself out there, that is where you win. Now here's where the journey becomes the reward. So you already won by starting, right? There is no, you can't lose no more. You already won. You have already won. Now this is the beauty in the way that growth and healing and the Spirit operates. It's beautiful, right? So you've already won. The moment you started this journey, you've already won. Everybody in here, you've already won. Now here's how the journey works. Now, you slowly start to grow. You start to learn things, right? And because you're human and it's part of the process, you're going to make mistakes, right? And instead of beating yourself up, you immediately understand that this mistake right here, this mess up, right? This confusion is just an opportunity for growth. There's a lesson in this. What can I learn from this? That's what your perspective goes to. What can I learn from this? And because you give yourself compassion and empathy, you learn, And then you take that and you grow through it. And now guess what you've gained up here? Wisdom. Now you have wisdom up here. But because this is part of the process and you understand the journey, you are going to mess up again, right? And you do the same process. But here's the beautiful thing. When you messed up this time, you were here. When you messed up this time, you're up here. And the beautiful thing through it all, you're moving up. Does that make sense? Do you see how much more peaceful that is, rather than thinking that you have to be perfect all the time? There is no such thing as perfection. There is only progression. And the moment you start this journey to want to be better, to want to step into your most highest authentic self, to actually want to grow and heal, you have won. Understand you will make mistakes. You will fall down. You will have days that feel incredibly difficult to navigate. You will have seasons of isolation. You will have times where you feel like you're doing everything wrong. You have already won. Give yourself grace, learn through the experience, and keep moving forward. And eventually, you'll reach certain points where you realize, man, you look back and you're grateful for these moments now. Because the only way that you were able to get this wisdom and to grow and to become the best version of yourself is because you embraced each one of these mess ups, each one of these low moments with compassion and empathy, as you would do with a kid who is trying to learn how to ride a bike for the first time. Prime example, if a kid wants to learn how to ride a bike, the fact that they were even having the courage to get on the bike and try, they've won. And now they're going to ride it, and then they're going to fall off the bike. If as a parent, when they fall off the bike, you immediately say you're no good, you'll never be good at this, you should feel ashamed of yourself, they're never going to want to get on the bike again. They're never going to want to get on the bike again. And Janelle, I'm so happy you said that, because I need y'all to understand. And if you want to view it like that, you can view it like that. It is not about having an ego death. It's about understanding that your ego is your inner child and you need to heal it. Let me get my dang, I dropped my mark. Oh. I hope you guys understand that. Listen to me. Your ego is your inner child. All of the characteristics of your ego, when you really look at your life from an unbiased point of view and you see where your ego is operating, it is direct characteristics to what an inner child would do. An inner child that's not healed, or that's been abused, or that's been neglected, or that hasn't been tended to, right? So this idea of an ego death, right? And this is where I fell into the trap, right? When I first got into like spirituality and personal development, I heard about this concept of ego death. So I'm fighting, and this is the thing, because you think you need to have an ego death. Anytime you feel your ego, you immediately start to fight it, right? That's what the concept of an ego death did for me. I gotta fight. No, why is my ego? And what you don't realize is you're fighting your inner child. What do you think a child is gonna do when you're fighting it? It is not gonna want to work with you. I promise you, it's not gonna want to work with you. Right? So, like you said, it's putting your ego in the rightful place. And what's the rightful place? The passenger seat. The spirit needs to be driving the car. The ego needs to be in the passenger seat, right? Think of it like this, right? And like I said, all your ego needs is a physical. Oh, we about to get into it. Okay, well, when will my ego stop fighting me, right? The first thing is understanding that your ego is your inner child, right? So once I'm gonna take notes if you need to take notes. I'll write this down real quick. So I'm gonna write this back down. So step 1 is understand your ego is your inner child. Stay with me. Boom. Step 2. Let me think. Go on the journey of step 2 is move into the seat of the parent. Move into parent role, which is the spirit. Put that in quotations, right? Move into parent and start to heal that relationship, right? I'm putting this up for the video, right? So step 1 is to understand your ego is your inner child. So it's not about killing your inner child. It's about moving, right, into the spirit and understanding that the spirit is the parent and I need to start healing that relationship, right? So boom, this is how it works. Actually, I actually like to see it as God in the triune. Think of it like this, man. God, how do I view it? Think of it like this. God is the road. You wouldn't even be able to drive the car if there was no road. God is the car. Within that, He has given us the free will to choose who's driving the vehicle and where we want to bring our awareness to. Right? That's how I like to see it, because I never want you to feel like you're powerless. You absolutely have agency in your life. You absolutely have agency in your life. God has given us the ability to create. We are creators. You were made in the image of God. God is a creator. You are a creator. If you're not creating, right? Or if you're not intentionally creating, man. But anyway, we'll get into that another one. I like that. That's why the podcast is take everything with a grain of salt, right? Whatever works for you, because I know we have people of multiple faiths, multiple cultures, backgrounds. This stuff is for everybody. I don't care what you believe in. This is for everybody. But, okay. I didn't even put the step numbers. Right? So, step 1. And here's what happens, right? Step 2. So this is how it works. Step 1 is understand your ego is your inner child. Step 2 is move into the parent and start to heal the relationship, right? Now, as you start to go on that journey of healing the relationship becomes better. And guess what happens? Here's what happens, right? Watch this. So, like we said, going back to the emotional state, when you change your internal state, you will start to see that reflected in your physical reality. So, as you start to work on healing the inner child, and you're changing your emotional state, something is going to happen physically in your physical reality that is going to affirm you're on the right track. And it's in that moment where your ego gets evidence and fully trust. Oh my gosh, this is working. I do trust my parent. You are actually guiding me in the right direction. Think of it like this, right? Think of it like this. So, you're in the driver's seat, right? Let's say you're the parent and the kid is in the passenger seat. And let's say you're taking them to a really remote location, but it's for their birthday, right? It's a special occasion. It's a beautiful place you're bringing them, but the road to get there looks really like weird, and it's kind of like sketchy, and it's like, what the heck's going on, right? As you're driving, the kid is like, yo, where are you taking me? I don't want to go this way. I don't like this path. I don't like this. Like, this is horrible. I'm scared. Come on, help me out. Right? And you have to keep bringing compassion, right? You have to keep working with that child. That's the process of healing your inner child, right? And slowly, right, it's going to fight you at first, but you're still driving. Do not let the kid get the driver's seat, because if the kid gets in the driver's seat, it's going to turn around and go the other way. So, you're driving. Hey, just trust me, son. Trust me. Son, trust me. But Dad, look at, I don't like where we're going. This is scary. I don't like being here. Trust me, son. But all this traffic, I don't like. But trust me. Just trust. But Dad, please, I don't want to go. Trust me. Trust me, right? And then eventually, you start to see something. Let's say you see the sunrise or you see the beach, and the kid stops fighting and it starts going, oh my Lord. Whoa. Hold on. This is where you were taking me the whole time? Wait, let me start getting excited. Hold on. Oh my gosh, this is crazy, right? And you reach the destination, and the kid sees, the inner child sees where you were guiding them the whole time, and they just had to trust. But after they see where you took them, now the next time you want to take them on a place and you're driving them through something scary, they're going to trust you that it will be okay. And that is when your ego becomes your best friend and not your worst enemy. But this is a process, and I really hope that makes sense, because that's the best mind frame that really helps me understand how I need to navigate my ego. I don't need to fight with it. I don't need to abuse it. I don't need to kill it. I need to work on guiding it in the right direction by living in the spirit, by moving in the spirit. Right? Think of the yin and the yang. You have the spirit and you have the flesh. The spirit, that's where God operates. The flesh, that's where your ego and your inner child is. That's this physical reality. What you want to do is tap into the spirit and allow that to guide the ego and the inner child. And that's how you become the best version of yourself in all aspects. Because some people, right? Some people want to kill their ego and just live in the spirit. Right now, you're not actually taking care of your physical body. But just trust that when you move into the spirit and then you start to heal the relationship with your ego, you are going to start giving energy to all facets of your life. Not just one. Not just one. Because becoming the best version of yourself, becoming your most authentic and highest self means all parts. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, relational, health, all that. Not just one, all. So I hope that analogy helps. And like I said, if you're joining and you didn't get to watch the full video, I've been recording this whole thing. It's been going on for 44 minutes. So I got it right here. And I think that's probably where we'll stop this one. But we can still take questions and stuff like that. I might end this video. I think that's going to be it. Or do you guys want more clarity on that? And like I said, I'm also working on ebooks. So the ebooks will be out very shortly. So you guys will have these videos. You'll have the ebook. You have my podcast. We doing all of it. We're trying to dive into all sectors. You feel me? Give you guys all, taking everything with a grain of salt. You feel me? Versatile. And then for people who want that direct access, you already know where you can get that. But shout out to Haley. That's a beautiful name because my little sister's name is Hallie. What did he cover today? We talked about really the concept of your ego is your inner child and how to have the right perspective on that, and so you can work on healing it rather than just totally neglecting your ego or fighting with your ego or not understanding what your ego is and thinking that you need to have an ego death. All this stuff. And I think we talked about some stuff early on that I totally forgot, but we'll watch it. I'll watch it back and we'll see when the video comes out. I know we talked about not allowing yourself to be driven by all these external things. There's a lot of stuff we cover. I ain't gonna lie, there's a lot of stuff. And I love this. I love these sessions. And I love that I'm recording them now because I will be posting. And we got the music in the back too, man. So yeah, y'all. I hope that gives y'all some peace of mind. So yeah. But yeah, so that was a good one. I'm really I really appreciate y'all. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing amazing. And yeah, give yourself some grace today, man. That's my goal. That's gonna be my last message before I get off. Give yourself some grace. Understand you don't have to be perfect, and it's not about being perfect. It's about progression and having intention and awareness in your life, and just taking it one moment at a time, day by day, step by step. Trust in the journey. Right? I love y'all. I'm out of here. I appreciate everybody liking it, and I can't wait to get the ebook out to y'all either. I cannot wait. So, deuces, y'all.